And I feel like everybody needs to have a place that they feel like they belong. I think that's what kind of makes being an entrepreneur, being your own business owner so priceless. It's just like knowing that you have a purpose and that you're living that purpose. And it's it's something that I don't think anybody would want to give up.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Megan.
And this is
Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter.
Brought to you by Time to Pet. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back. Today, we are so excited to have Marissa LeJune on to talk about what her first 3 years in business have been like. She talks about the importance of having a coach to help her push through some of the barriers that she encountered while running her business. She also discusses what it's like running a luxury pet care business and how she communicates that to the clients. And she does all of this with her on-staff professional dog petter. Marissa shares a ton of advice and a lot of great insights, so let's get started.
My name is Marissa LeJune, and I am a Petprenuer and the owner of Tail Swaggers here in the DFW area. So I provide doggy daycare and home boarding, dog walking, and drop-in visits.
The name Tail Swaggers, where did that name come from?
So interestingly, that was actually kind of something that I've been working on since I started my business. So, a little over 2 years. Originally, I just wanted something that just felt good to me. That was like when people heard it, it was something catchy. And I did a lot of self-reflecting and really I made a sheet and I wrote down a lot of key terms that my business, that I felt like it described it. Happy, tails, waggings, just stuff like that. And I would circle things that really stuck out. And one day I just kind of took a step back, looked at my sheet, and out came, I just kind of whispered Tail Swaggers. And I was like, wait a minute, let me write that down, and I kind of looked at all the other names and I sat on it and just let it kind of marinate. And I was like, no, this is it. Like every time I said Tail Swaggers, I would just smile so big. And it just it went with my my slogan, providing tail-wagging happiness. So I was just like, wow, it just came from a lot of self-reflecting and knowing kind of what my business entailed and how I wanted people to see it. So kind of a little background on it.
Yeah, no, I love that because in names and in slogans, we try so hard to communicate as much as possible about us as a business to our clients. And you mentioned there the name Tail Swaggers, like you can't say it and not smile. And so right, you just kind of grin right at the end of that. And so it immediately sets somebody up at this good feeling about the service.
Absolutely. And the more that I kind of am starting to, as I've rebranded, I've realized that the way it works, when you kind of break it down. So the term swag is a term of confidence. It's a style. And when you look at any type of dog that you've cared for, that you've owned, they kind of each have their own swag, whether they're goofy, whether they're shy, they all own who they are unapologetically. And I just felt like, wow, this really goes, for the passion that I have for caring for all of my clients and their dogs. I was just like, I think Tail Swaggers really identifies, the love that we have for our pets. So
yeah, and it's also very familiar because it's so close to wag and wagging. But as you said, like that
Absolutely.
Swag, like that does give this push of confidence, this air of something different, something unique about it.
Absolutely. Definitely wanted it to compete with a lot of, as I grow, I wanted to compete with a lot of the bigger brands. And, like you said, it's a term of confidence, and it's something that you say and it just kind of sticks in your mind. Like, okay, I'll remember that,
And you mentioned there that you went through this process of rebranding. So after being in business for 3 years, why did you decide to rebrand, and what was that like?
So my initial thought in why I wanted to rebrand was I want to start growing it more now that we're coming out of COVID and stuff like that. And so my original name was Marissa's Pet Service. That's what I started my career as in the pet industry. And I loved it. And, I love my logo, but I felt like as I start hiring people, I wanted them to be excited about, who they work for, the company they work for. And I felt like taking my name out of it was a good choice. And then the whole aspect of rebranding right now, I had actually talked with my business mentor, Joe Enders Jr., and it was smart in the sense of because I'm still early on in my business. Financially, it was good because there weren't a lot of aspects that I would like money wise that I would have to put into rebranding new shirts and things like that. So, and the clients that I have, I felt like they would transition easily into the new name, into the rebranding. So that was kind of the reason why of right now and the reason for why I changed my name.
And that first aspect that you mentioned is if you're looking to bring on people, having not the owner's name in it, it allows them to have maybe a little bit, it's easier to see their ownership in the company and see how they can get excited for it and see their place in it. And, so that's interesting how that was the first thing that you mentioned as to why you want to rebrand is so that as you hired people, they would be excited too.
I kind of another why behind rebranding when you're talking about hiring on people, like you said, I felt like having my name, it put the shine on me too much instead of my business. So I felt like changing it to Tail Swaggers allowed it to just, like you said, allowed my staff for future to be proud of it and to take me out of it. And it helped me kind of separate myself from the business and in that aspect too. So
yeah, that's really interesting because sometimes when owners bring on staff, they may have a hard time giving up their own personal clients because they have such ownership in the ones that they're caring for. But it looks like you're already setting yourself up to avoid that by building something bigger than yourself and already removing the spotlight off of you and to the business so that when it comes time to hand off clients to staff, that process is going to be easier for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I've actually learned that reading some of Christian Morrison's books. She has Pet Care. It's hard for a lot of people, especially when you are the sole person caring for a lot of clients, to just step back and allow your staff members to do it. It has been something I've been marinating on for the last year. It's not something that I just kind of decided. And I've gone through that anxiety of like, oh my goodness, they're not going to be able to provide what I can provide, the love and the care. And I've had to like step back and like, yes, when you find the right people, they're going to be able to love each and every single one of your clients just as you would want, and it's taken that leap of faith. And I know it's hard, but I'm just, like you said, I'm preparing for that step so it'll make it a smooth transition.
Now, thinking back to when you first started back in 2018, why did you decide that pet sitting and dog walking was where you wanted to start a business?
The truth behind that was actually my business mentor, who just now is my business mentor, but at the time was my life coach. I was really trying to find what I was passionate about. At the time, I was just working, just a waitressing job. But I knew, I didn't exactly have what I wanted to do. I was fresh out of college, finishing my master's, and, I just was trying to provide at the time. And he allowed me to see, what is it that you love? What can you see yourself doing, whether you get paid or not? And, I was just like, dogs. I love them. I could do it, any day, any time. And, he kind of pushed me, which I'm grateful for, but he pushed me in that direction to do it. And so I think in 2018, that was the reason why I did go full time, was because although I was scared, I had so much anxiety of like what people would think. Because at the time, I never knew you could do this full time. I never heard of Christian Morrison and, that people actually made this a career. And so I was terrified of people looking at me like, that's not really a job. And I just had to jump over that fear. And when I did, it was, I haven't looked back. So that was why in 2018, though, that I decided to go full time into the pet industry.
And what do you think it was that got you over that fear of second guessing yourself and maybe thinking about what other people were thinking about your career choices?
I think the biggest thing was having the support of my coach to know that, like, hey, someone has you and they believe in you. And I think I just needed that small little voice of like, you can do this, for me to really hear my inner voice of like, yes, Marissa, you can do this. And I think also what helped me was I had just, let's see, 2018. Yes, my daughter was being born. She was born in 2018. So I think with having her, it was like I knew I needed to provide, and she definitely gave me the confidence to, like, I've got someone relying on me. So that was also another why behind that.
Right. And you've mentioned your coach a few times now, and I'm struck by that because I feel like not many people have that in their lives. Why did you decide that that was something you needed, and how has that helped you over the past several years?
So the reason why it was because I definitely went through a spurt of depression, and I knew that to get out of it, I needed to seek help. So that was the reason why decided to get a coach. And it was actually someone that I knew prior being in college. And we had built a great friendship. And I believe that he could help me in that aspect. It has built my confidence in myself. So outside of my business, I don't necessarily care to, or just really marinate on the thoughts of what other people think about me. So my self-image has improved. And then looking into my business, it has helped me guide into the right decisions that I want to make. So instead of just making rash decisions, you kind of think about what you want to do, and then you bring it to your business coach, and you just kind of strategize to where you're not jumping into things too fast.
It is kind of this check system that's right with you at each step of, is this okay? Like, how does this sound? Just that relationship of having the ability to bounce ideas off of somebody, and then to have that almost that cheerleader by your side who's got you, that's going to support you through the rough times, through those scary times, and to help you build your own confidence. You mentioned that of like, that was one of the big things for you, was it allowed this confidence building to get you to the point where now when it comes time to make those decisions, you trust yourself to make those, and really sets you on this amazing path moving forward.
Absolutely. I think you definitely nailed that. Absolutely. It's like you said, it's just like a safety net. It's someone you can bounce things off of, especially if you are, fairly new to the industry that you're in. They're just helpful to guide you, and because when you're looking at going to a business, you've got to have a sense of confidence. When you're going to get new clients, or you meet people at the dog park and stuff like that, you need to have that confidence in yourself and in your business to know that looking at that person, yeah, I can provide this care for you and for your dog. And at times when you're nervous, that can definitely be a struggle.
Absolutely. I think the number of times walking up to meet a client and just that voice of doubt deep in my stomach going, they're not going to pick you. Like, you're not good at this. What are you going to do? Like, and to have somebody that comes alongside you and is like, no, don't trust that voice. Look at all the stuff that you've done. Look at all the processes you have in place. You've got this. Go get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. 100% yes.
I love hearing about that, because I feel like that is an aspect, and listening to how it's impacted your life and how it feels like accelerated your growth in the business and your understanding of both the industry and your confidence in it as a place where you do belong and you feel legitimate being there. That has just been so, you couldn't put a price on that for what it's given you.
Absolutely. And I feel like everybody needs to have a place that they feel like they belong. I think that's what kind of makes being an entrepreneur, being your own business owner so priceless. It's just like knowing that you have a purpose and that you're living that purpose. And it's something that I don't think anybody would want to give up.
No, absolutely not. And to be able to work through that, and again to have that support is just something that I wish everybody had, no matter how long you've been in the business.
No, absolutely. And the one thing that he has said before is when you're looking at, it's good to learn from your mistakes. It's even greater to learn from other people's mistakes. So I think also having a coach is like they can, you don't always have to go with what they say, but if it's another ear to hear where it's like, hey, this might have worked this time, or they can kind of keep you accountable to like, you've done this before, let's try something new. And it's just, when you're looking at other people and other businesses, I think that's key, because you don't, you want to make sure that you're taking the right steps in the right direction. And if you can accelerate that process by learning from other people, that just makes it 10 times better.
Now, you are branded as a luxury pet care service. What does that mean to you?
Being luxury to me is basically just providing the top-notch quality that you could dream of. So I like to think of my business. When you go to Disney World, everything there is exceptional all the time, year round. So for me, when I'm looking at luxury, I want this to be a 7-star service that you're getting day in and day out, no matter what time of year. And I think I've done a great job of showing my clients that every time that they need me, I'm reliable, and Tail Swaggers is reliable, and I really do take pride in that.
So my follow-up there was, how do you market luxury to your potential clients?
So the biggest thing is just with your language. It's making sure that you've got luxury, that you've got pet concierge, or just those small keywords that really catch people's attention. And then secondly, when you are with your client, you're just making sure to vocalize not only those words, but also your actions. Like a lot of your clients, you can have, the best set up website with the best words and things. But if you're not providing that quality care all the time, they're not really going to feel that luxury service. So I would say first it's language, and then second, it's your actions. Actions always speak louder than words. So those would be the two keys for me.
Mm. And what I hear there is on top of that is this consistency of care. Of you gave that great example of Disney World. Of it doesn't matter what time of day you go, what day of the year you go, what year you go, it's going to be amazing every single time.
Absolutely.
And to take that and go, now let's do my business. How do I give my clients that? That just takes it to a whole nother level.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
On your services, you offer a monthly membership package for daycares. What's the thinking behind that, and what has the response been from your clients?
So the thinking behind my membership is I wanted to give people a sense of VIP. And when you're looking at daycare, for me, I work out of my home. So I already knew off top, I have to keep my numbers small. One, to provide that luxury care, as we mentioned, but also because I'm not able to hold 100 dogs at my house. So for me, looking at wanting my clients to really dive in and be interested in my daycare, I wanted to be able to put together a package of something that they would enjoy. So that's, doggy daycare, that's baths, like everything is included in this membership. Instead of paying, separate fees for this and that, it's like they look at it and it's like, oh wow, all included. That's great. It's you're paying one time a month, which makes it super easy. And then, like I said, it just makes them feel included. When you're looking at, as I mentioned, Disney World, they've got the VIP pass. They've got just things that makes people feel like they are just have that experience, that like top-notch experience. And that's really the meaning behind my membership. And for people, my clients have actually so far, they've reacted very well. I've got 2 or 3 of them that have spoke interest in it. They're interested probably starting in the fall just because of whole COVID, and they're still home, which is absolutely understandable. So I'm excited to really see how it takes off, and I can keep you updated as it goes. It's fairly new, so I haven't really just promoted it too much yet.
Okay, no, I would love to hear what kind of traction you get on that. And yeah, I that idea of making something that's all inclusive. I mean, people love all inclusive resorts for a reason because
Absolutely.
it gives them this feeling of money's no object. I get to live like royalty for a day. It's just whatever I want for just one price, and then I forget about it.
Yeah.
And you're going now let's do dogs, right? Now if everything's included in this, and I can see how it would be very attractive where somebody just they don't have to worry about the multiple bookings. They don't have to worry about multiple payments going out. They just, when they need service, they know they're going to get it. And that peace of mind that you give to an owner is huge.
Absolutely. It's if anything, the one thing that I can say when you're looking at owners, it's giving them that peace of mind. So it's, how can I make things automated? How can I just make this the most simple one button click and we're good to go? So
yeah, well, and I'm sure for you running your business, having that kind of income every month, that's a little bit more predictable than.
Absolutely.
And so it's a little bit easier to plan and look at growth and look down the road than if you're doing these multiple individual bookings or all these single clients every single day.
Yeah, definitely. Sustainability in your business is very, very key. And looking at the vision that I see for my business, that was also just a behind the scenes thought of my doggy daycare was, for me, I'm looking to kind of step back from my business and do more operating. So if I was going to do that, what's a way that I can still, have dogs in my home, still interact with them, me and my daughter, but then also still having my staff who's out and working and doing the day-to-day things. And I think having that doggy daycare, like you said, it's sustainable, every month. Okay, I have, these 5 dogs coming in. I look forward to it. Great. And then I can delegate the rest of my services to my staff.
Yeah, that sustainability and that scalability is when you start having predictable projections and that foundation, it gives you the confidence to make some of those big steps.
Yes, absolutely.
Another service that you offer are called tuck-in visits. How did those get started?
So those actually was something that a few of my clients had actually mentioned. So I offer drop-in visits. So they're 30 minutes to an hour visits, to where these are most of the times it's just, if you're at work or gone, just little potty breaks here and there for your dog. But there are some of my clients their dogs prefers to stay home when they travel. And they just wanted something more of, is there any way you could stay longer? And looking at my tuck-ins, that idea came from that. It was like, okay, how can I find a way to help my clients and their dogs, at nighttime when it's bedtime, just to kind of stay with them longer. So my tuck-ins, basically, it's 2 hours visits in the evening and then 1 hour in the morning. And that just kind of helps the dog if you have anxiety or if they just like to snuggle longer, than a 30 minutes, that helps them. And, I think they're excited about it. It's also, when I looked at doing the pricing wise, it's actually cheaper to do the tuck-ins for a longer amount of times. And it would be just scheduling like an hour visit at night and then an hour in the morning. So, that was kind of the reason behind that.
Yeah. Now, is that just because of like travel costs and transitions and ability to fit in number of clients during that slot, or how did the pricing thought go into that?
I think it was kind of both. It was, yes, in the sense of, okay, looking at the number of clients that I have, I need to make sure that it's still sustainable to be at that house for that long. If I am good, because typically I would only do that with one client, 2 hours at night, because I'm looking at probably doing from like 8 to 10. But then the price wise, I knew that I wanted my tuck-ins to still be something enticing to my customers. So it's like, if you look at my drop-ins, I basically just based the price on how could I make this work, but also make it cheaper.
Right. And that two-sided coin of like, if I'm going to offer the service, I've got to make it worth my time.
Yes.
But people still have to be willing to buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you heard about Time to Pet? Susan from the Pet Gal has this to say.
Time to Pet has helped us grow exponentially. We believe the platform's features make us by far more professional than other companies who use conventional dashboards. They are the software gurus constantly developing and improving the platform based on user feedback. this decision was a good one.
If you are looking for new pet sitting software for your business, give Time to Pet a try. As a listener of Pet Sitter Confessional, you'll get 50% off your first 3 months when you sign up at timetopet.com/confessional. And then I think I know the answer to this question, kind of what you've alluded to earlier, but you also provide access to a mobile app through your website. Why was it important for you to have that and make that available?
So the importance behind that was just to compete with other companies. This is actually something that I recently just finished. Like I just launched that like this past week, and I'm so excited about it. But when you look at, big companies like WAG and stuff like that, they literally allow your client to log on, put the information, and then book a walker instantly, within less than 5 minutes. So for me to have that mobile app and just to really stay on top of the competition was key. It's crucial.
Maybe to somebody who's listening going, oh my gosh, you've got a mobile app? That must be a lot of work. What was that process like bringing that on, and how did you get access to that? Maybe some of those ground level details.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually got access to it by chance. I was listening to Christian Morrison's podcast, and she had just mentioned, hey, if you're looking for, a mobile app, just, email me at this email. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I emailed her, not really thinking much of it. She replied back and said, hey, there's this company called Easy Busy Pets. You should check them out. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of check out their website, set up a meeting, and they've made everything super easy. For me, for what they provide with the mobile app, with their the website setup and everything that it can do, I was sold. I think it's affordable, and for anybody out there interested in this company, please feel free to let me know. I can give you a referral link that they've provided me, and I'd be happy to share. I think anybody really trying to stay, like I said, compete with the competition, this is something that you definitely want to look into.
And that note of it really wasn't that much, like you weren't programming, you weren't developing the layout for that on your end, because there's this company that's already handling all of those back end services, and you're able to just kind of plug it right into where you need it. And now you are directly competing with the big companies.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's key when you're looking at something at something that you don't know how to do. It's finding another company that already knows what it's doing, and really just looking like, okay, how can I utilize this, and how can they help me? And they're definitely a company that's I think they've been around for a while, but I think they've been doing a lot of developing. Like you said, like behind the scenes with their website and stuff. Just
how easy that process was to get it included. It wasn't all these big hurdles that you had to overcome.
No big hurdles at all. They take care of everything. Once you tell them the services that you want, they easily allow you and help you set it up and get things running. I got mine done in, let's see, it was like maybe 2.5 hours. I got my website up.
Oh my gosh.
Everything literally done. I was very eager to get started though. So once they showed me how it was done, I was like, okay, had my forms ready, had my information ready, and he was, then my sales rep was like, wow, we're done. I was like, okay, great. Let's get going. I'm going to, go get my first client. So, but yeah, definitely they make it easy to operate.
Yeah, well, that's good. And I just wanted to maybe assure some of the fears that people think when they start thinking mobile apps and one-click booking and that kind of thing. That sounds very complicated, but there are services like this that are out there to help smooth that out, so you don't have to worry about it, and you can start providing fast, this luxury service, that I know you're after here to make this. I don't want any speed bumps. I don't want any roadblocks for clients. I want them to be able to get in easy, make it fast, and make it understandable, and then move on to actually providing the service.
Yeah, definitely. And I think anytime you're stepping out of your comfort zone, it can be scary. But like I said, I think it's just, being strategic about what you're doing and just believing that like I'm making the right choice. And just for me, with this mobile app, I just did a lot of research behind it. So I knew, okay, starting out, once I had my first client on here and I transitioned my current clients to there, even if they have questions, I would easily be able to help them through it.
I know a lot of the steps that you're taking right now are to set yourself up for a hire down the road. but you currently have an on-staff professional dog petter that you work with a lot of days. What's it like working with your daughter?
Oh, it's amazing, and I feel so blessed to be able to work with her. So yes, my professional dog petter, you can see her on my website. She's my daughter. She's 2 years old, and she's actually been with me. I launched 2018, so she was about 3 to 4 months. She started her entrepreneurship career, but it's been wonderful for anybody out there that is a parent and that wants to do this in the pet industry. I definitely encourage it. You have to be aware that, you always have to be safe, take those safety precautions. And for me, I've been blessed that I've been open and honest with my clients about it. And they've been so loving and so welcoming with her. And I couldn't thank them more for it.
Oh, well, yeah, that was one of the questions I had was about the safety around dogs, because that's many people may hear, oh, you're bringing your daughter around these dogs. What's safety like? So how are you teaching her safety, and what kind of processes do you have in place when you do have her around dogs?
So the first thing is how I'm teaching her. A lot of it is I'm making sure that I am always teaching by example, because kids do a lot of learning by watching. The second thing is I just make sure no matter what I'm doing, if it's something it doesn't involve the dogs running around or anything, I'm including her. So I'll let her scoop the dog food and stuff like that and just teach her, like, here's the way to do it. And then I always teach her distance. So when dogs are eating, okay, we step back and let them have their space. It's always about spacing, even with dogs that love, you petting them and stuff like that, you still have to give them their distance. So with her being so young, I really focus on, okay, like we can pet them, but let's let them have their space. And then, we can come back and do that. So for me, when she's around other dogs, when she was really little, she would always be in the harness, the front chest harness. So she was never on the ground or near them. She was always up safe next to me. And then now that she's older and she's able to walk, I always keep her right next to me. And holding my hand. So if we're walking and, some dogs just get so excited and they wag their tail, they might, booty bump her or something. She's, I'm right there to pick her up or stuff like that. But those would be like the safety precautions when we're like outside and stuff, just making sure that I always have an eye on her, and that I'm aware, because with dogs, things can escalate quickly. So I always want to make sure that I'm there to either pick her up or tell her, hey, step back. And then, I can control the situation.
I know with our two kids around dogs, I feel like it makes Megan and I more observant and even better than maybe we were if we didn't have kids around dogs. Like, we are constant. I know I'm better at reading body language around dogs now with kids than I was before we had kids, just because I have to be more in tune.
Yes.
I'm much more observant and much reading, trying to think several steps ahead, and then going through these screening processes and all that. But I feel like it's kind of heightened these senses and awareness just of whenever everybody's around.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think parents naturally have that sense of awareness, like in heightened awareness that you mentioned, and I agree with you. I think prior to me going full time into pet care, I did do it part time throughout college. When I wasn't, playing games or anything. And I can look back and say now, like you said, I can read dog languages way better. I feel like I can tell, like, okay, someone's about to get upset. Let me, calm the situation down, because my daughter's there. And I think she is a big benefit to that, because it's like, you're always on your P's and Q's. You're always like, okay, is everything in check, everything in order? And I think that's a big bonus, like you mentioned. Now,
another part of that is balancing business and personal life with your daughter. How have you managed to work that out for you? And I know you're kind of transitioning to wanting to step back more to spend time with family and grow your business from more to the administrative side. But how have you worked out a balance right now?
So right now, I can say it's being super organized with my schedule. It's knowing when are my business hours and when are my personal hours. That is so crucial. And I had to learn the hard way with that, feeling like I'm always on the go. But I would say, I've got this time for my daycare. I've got this time for my walking. Okay, this time it's time for her to eat. It's having that balance. It's being organized. And I think it's having a lot of patience because when she was really little, I had to make sure that, okay, every 2 to 4 hours, she's got to eat. We've got to take a break. We've got to take a bathroom break, here and there. So now that she's older, it's a lot easier because, she can feed herself and things like that. But definitely patience and organization are keys to keeping a balance when you're working with your kid and your business.
And you mentioned setting business hours and personal hours there, and that's a boundary that, oh my gosh, like that's so hard to keep intact, because it's easy just to slip in and go, oh, this email came in late at night, let me just answer it real quick, or oh, let me just do this one thing really quick. So having those set up and going, nope, that's, normal businesses have business hours where they lock the door and walk away, and trying to emulate that as much as possible in this industry where you could work 24/7, it feels like,
Yes.
it's hard.
Yes, it is. It's so hard. And I struggle with that early on in my business. Probably year one and year two, that I just was, oh, okay, yes, I'll say yes to everything. And I felt like in that aspect, she wasn't benefiting, because she was like, okay, Mom, I just want one-on-one time with you. We don't need to go to this house. And I'm like, okay, how can I make this a more balanced schedule for both of us, that we both benefit, as well as our clients? Because you got to understand that, especially when you just work, when it's just you working by yourself in your business, like when you get burnt out, the clients that you have, they can feel that. Those dogs don't feel that energy that you bring, because you don't have any energy. You're not bringing that, that consistent quality care. So I think having those business hours, and it is hard when you work from home too, because it's like, okay, I've got these dogs here, but now I'm tired. So it's like, how do I keep that? And it's like implementing those business hours is the way to go, because okay, this is time for work and this is time for relaxation, or for anything else that you need to do, for sure.
Yeah. And you also mentioned patience, and that's patience for the people around you. I'm sure that's patience for your daughter, and I'm sure that's patience for yourself, to give yourself the permission to learn, and that grace when you mess up, and to try again another day.
Yeah, it's learning from your mistakes. It's hard, and I take it hard. When I've messed up, or just something happens. It's like, man, I should have known better. But it's understanding not to be too hard on yourself, and it's looking like, okay, how can I make sure this doesn't happen again? I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to learning, and having patience with yourself, because you're learning new things every day. You can't always get everything right, the first time or even the second time. So.
Or for me, the 4th, 6th, 10th time, it feels like some days.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like you said, that you gotta always give yourself that grace and that pain, and then just take that breath and like, okay, let's try this again.
Yeah. And so, what kind of advice would you give to other people who are running their pet care business, and also have small kids, or maybe want them involved in the business in day-to-day operations?
Yeah. So first thing, one, I would say, if you want to do it, go ahead, absolutely do it.
Yeah.
It is scary. It is. And you probably might lose some clients, because, whether their dog doesn't do good with kids, you have to be aware of that. Or maybe they're just not comfortable. The owner's not comfortable with your kid being there. But you just kind of have to take that and just be, okay, no problem. And move on, because with every closed door, there's going to be more of doors that open. And so I would really just say, get over that fear, go and do it. Don't listen to what people have to say. If you believe you can, I believe you can too. And then second, you need to make sure that going into your business, you're going to have to be very accountable with yourself and with your kid, but also you're going to have an open communication with your clients. So for me, whether it's a new client or my current clients, they know, okay, if Leah's, she's working with me, so there's a chance that she's going to come on that walk, or, she's going to be in that visit. And I think when you're open and you're honest with your clients, it just allows the process to be much smoother, because they know what they're expecting.
Yeah, that communication is just so critical there, of will my kids be around? And then, that first step of going, is this dog even a good fit for me if my kid's going to be here? I know when Megan and I board in our home, that's the first question. It doesn't matter if they're, we can deal if dogs doesn't get, if it's not friendly with other dogs. We know how to deal with that, and we can put stuff in place. But if that screening question comes back, no, we're not even, there's no second question if the dog is not okay around small kids. It's like, okay, well, we're not a good fit for you, and we're okay with that, because you know what? I kind of love my kids more than I love your dog.
No, absolutely. And it's, you never want to put your kid in that harm, and you never want to put that owner, their dog, in harm either,
Right.
They're going to be so uncomfortable. So it's like, don't even try to overstep that boundary if you know beforehand that they're not good with kids.
Yeah, it's a no harm, no foul kind of thing. It's, as you said, like you want the dog to be in the best place possible, and if the best place possible for them is a place without small kids, they need to go there, and we're not going to try and make that work here. And safety above all else.
Yeah, and that's where other pet businesses come in hand, and I think that's the great thing about our industry. I know I think the pet industry is still growing today, but it's great to have, like, if you can't take care of that dog, there's some other business or person out there that is going to be a great fit for them.
Speaking of the pet care industry, at a large scale, what has the pet care industry and the market been like in Fort Worth area through COVID?
So I can only speak on my experiences, and for me, it's been fairly decent. I can say that the current clients that I have, I feel very blessed to care for their pets, because there were still some of them that were home and they were still willing to, hey, like, I still want you to come walk my dog. Of course, we took the steps. I wore gloves, wore masks, sanitized everything all the time. But I also had clients that, even though they weren't using my services during the COVID lockdown and everything, they were still willing to just send me just a little bit here and there, just like, hey, like, this will help you. I know it's not much, but it's just wanting to kind of help you and your family out. So for me, I can say that it's been a huge blessing, and thankfully I've been able to, my business has been running through COVID, and now it's picking back up now that we are slowly, coming out of the in-home procedures. But so for me, I just feel so blessed that, a lot of business had to shut down, and it's, for me, that thankfully that wasn't the case.
Right. And you were still able, as you mentioned, to provide some services to people who still recognize that it provided value to them, and they still needed that, even though it may have looked a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know some people, they were, they weren't even offering dog services. They were like, hey, telling their clients, I can go grocery shopping for you. I can, do this and do that. And I think that's awesome. I think people's ability to adapt was very crucial during COVID, and still is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to see the creativity that pet sitters were able to turn on. It seemed like at a moment's notice of, there's problems, flip this switch. What are we going to do? And just did A to Z, all kind of business ideas and services that they were able to come up with to meet new needs of their customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so thinking about COVID, maybe what are some lessons that you've learned through experiencing that in your third year of business, and and how has that shaped your eye towards the future and growth and that kind of thing?
So I think first, it's always expecting unexpectable. And then second, like you said, adaptability. No matter, what time of year, whether it's your first year or your 10th year, if you're able to adapt to what's going on to meet the needs of your clients, I think you will always succeed no matter what. And I think COVID has definitely shown every business that you need to be willing to adapt, whether it's getting that new technology or changing, your services or adding a new service, whatever it is that's going to keep you afloat and keep you going. I think you got to be willing to really take that chance.
That really is huge. And so that may play into my follow-up question to that, is what would be your biggest piece of advice to other pet care providers?
So I would say for me, and just looking back at the struggles that I've had, my advice would be really find what you're passionate about. And if you're looking at the pet industry, try your best to allow that passion for animals, for dogs, cats, any type of reptiles. Like, let your passion show in what you do, no matter what service it is that you provide walking, drop-in visits, daycare. I've heard of some that do dog running instead of just walking. So just whatever it is, make sure you're pushing that passion, that love that you have through your services, through your social media and your websites and anything, even when you meet your clients, like allow them to see who you are and be unapologetic about it. And I think you find, the best clients, the best people, even, not even just clients, you find the best relationships, whether it's with other pet businesses. I think that's the best way. That's the best thing to do. That's my best advice I guess I have to give.
To not be ashamed of your passion and to let it seep through and bleed out of everything that you do. And so that you're doing it well, right? And you're doing it with excellence, and you can do it consistently, which is stuff that you have been doing. You've been talking about this whole time.
Absolutely, and I also think it helps when you're looking at the longer you're in this business. I think it helps you not get to the point of burnout too, because if you're waking up every morning and you're loving what you're doing, there's no way that you can get tired of that. And I'm looking at the longevity of having my business here for years and years, maybe one day for my daughter to take over and run. So it's something that I definitely hold close to my heart. And I hope that, a lot of people do as well.
Marissa, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day-to-day and coming on to share about your story and your experiences as you've started, you're looking at growing, and just the wonderful example that you're setting for your daughter, and just the footpath to success that both you and her are on through what you're doing right now. Thank you so much. If people want to get in touch, follow along with all that you've got going on, how can they do that?
Oh, absolutely. So if you're looking for luxury pet care service in the Fort Worth, Texas area, you can visit our website at www.tailswaggers.org. And I'm sure I can give you the link to that so they can have. Mm-hmm. If you would like to follow us on social media, on Instagram, we are tail.swaggers. And then if you're looking to reach out to me personally, my Instagram is my first and last name. So it's Marissa LeJune. And then you can also email me at marissalejune@gmail.com.
Perfect. And I'll make sure those are included in the show notes and on the website as well, so people can click right to them when they're ready. So Marissa, it's been a real pleasure, a real joy. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had a wonderful time speaking with you and just sharing, just insights and what we've learned and how it can possibly help someone else. So I had fun.
Marissa's entrepreneurial attitude and spirit really shine through in all that she does, whether it's planning for the future or how she structures her day around her ability to care for her daughter. Everything she does shines with passion and excellence. It's a real example for making sure that we are all plugged into and understand our why in business. We'd like to thank our friends over at Time to Pet for making this week's show possible. If you'd like to get connected with us, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Pet Sitter Confessional. Check out our website for a ton of information related to pet care, extended show notes, and a lot of other stuff as well. You can email us at feedback@petsitterconfessional.com. We'd love to hear your story. Thank you so much for listening.